Robynne, thanks for sitting down with me today. I'm not gonna lie, I don't get too intimidated doing interviews. You're the woman that got me into this. You're the one that kicked me off on this, and so I am feeling slightly intimidated for our interview today. So you're gonna have to be gentle with me. Normally I have to do it the other way around. You're gonna have to be gentle with me. So I'm gonna kick off. My question for you is, you've got a lot of experience in the seed sector in Canada, globally. You're getting recognized at the Canadian Ag Hall of Fame on Thursday. Congratulations for that, well deserved. My question is, what would be some highlights that you would take out of that illustrious portion of your career?
Besides getting to launch you in the seed business?
Exactly.
Nothing tops that.
Besides that, yes.
Well, it's been a wonderful journey, and the seed industry deserves a lot of credit for the career I've had, because very early on they took a chance on a young woman coming in and doing strategic planning and international outreach for them, and so it's really been a wonderful highlight. But of course, my baby is germination, and it's just fantastic to see germination and seed world doing so well, and the great hands that you have offered them and received them and nurtured them and taken them into their teen years and their adulthood. So that remains absolutely the highlight, to actually see that magazine still coming out month after month.
We're here at CSTA in Calgary, and it's been fun to see the reaction that you get when you walk into the room. Even last night when you walk into the room, it's kind of like seed royalty rolling into the room, and people's reaction is pretty awesome. I think that you have had a big impact on a lot of the goings on, and one of the big pieces right now is Seed Synergy, which I know you're certainly keep your finger on the pulse of that. Do you have any thoughts about Seed Synergy as the organizations are working towards figuring out what that next generation seed system looks like?
Well, it's wonderful to see, and people are very generous about greeting me, but they are equally royal to me and equally insightful about where to go next. And I feel like many of the discussions about seed synergy we saw happening 20 years ago, right? The infancy of the CSI and some of those institutes that have really given the seed sector more control over its own destiny. And seed synergy is the logical outcome of that. And I hope that people have the courage to let go of systems that really are ready for reform, because all of agriculture is under so much pressure now. And it's really the right time for the seed sector to think about fresh ways to do business, to align itself more tightly, to create those synergies amongst the organizations and find ways to work together really well.
Awesome, well said. Your career, the seed portion of your career, it feels like we're talking about a history of a person that's 100 years old, Robynne, when we talk about dividing your career into these eras, the seed era of Robynne Anderson. But you've even expanded your career beyond seed. You're involved in a lot of different things. Can you give us, for the audience that we're talking to now, they know you as Seed Robynne, but you've, like I say, you've got your hands on a lot of other projects. Can you talk a little bit about some of those projects that are passion projects for you?
Well, Seed Robynne grew up on a seed farm, so she'll always be Seed Robynne. That's not going to change. And one of the great things I get to do now is work internationally quite a bit to bring that passion for how agriculture operates and how we grow things more effectively into a whole range of venues. In particular, I coordinate the private sector mechanism input into the UN Committee on Food Security, and have had a hand in some of the development of the Sustainable Development Goals and the discussions about how to implement them, particularly related to food security and agriculture. So a lot of fora that are truly global in nature, and the opportunity to work around the world, and things like the International Year of Pulses, which is of course birthed by seed, but goes all the way through the value chain. And really we had over 700 events occur that year in 2016. All over the world, involving everything from a 10-year science strategy about how to accelerate plant breeding and research into pulses, all the way to how you reach out to over 1 billion consumers we reach through a social media campaign. So it's been just the most wonderful wild ride. I could have never imagined all of this growing up in Dugald.
That's awesome. Good old Dugald, Manitoba.
Dugald, Manitoba, it's a great place.
Absolutely. You used the C word there that I think has been a big buzzword around here, and that's a consumer. And I think in agriculture in general, but including the seed industry, we're trying to figure out how to connect with them. We're trying to figure out how to connect with consumers. Do you have any thoughts or advice to the seed sector from now, even at more of a 10,000 or 30,000 foot level that you're at now, to give some advice to how do we tackle that? How do we get that message out to have that license to operate?
Well, I don't know that anybody has it right, but I can certainly tell you from what I see globally is that when I came into this sphere, the things that were a given, like we all care about plant breeding, that we believe it's the path to the future, that we believe people should win Nobel Prizes for being great breeders, isn't there in the same way anymore. And we see the systems like the CG institutes around the world in a relative sense of disarray. The individual institutes doing well, but the system overall under tremendous pressure from donors and a lack of focus about what to do next. And I think it comes from the fact that agriculture has always come at things with this sort of passion that we're doing the right thing, that we're trying to steward land, that we're trying to grow crops for people. And we're all taken aback to go out in the world and have these concerted attacks on every aspect of the business. So if it's livestock, it's beef is evil. If it's seed, genetic engineering is evil, regardless of whether or not it's producing a genetically modified organism in a biotech sense. But all of these things, mutagenesis, something that we've used for many, many years to develop seed, are under this incredible level of scrutiny that we've never seen before, and not with even a path to, well, we don't like this, but we do like this. The messages we're getting are only attack campaigns with no path forward. And in this regard, I think that there is some opportunity, and in particular, the UN created these Sustainable Development Goals, and one of them is specifically about sustainable agriculture and resilience. And there are some environmental indicators there related to how we might see the world measuring sustainability in agriculture. I think the best thing the seed industry can do is to hop on board that. Many of them relate directly to things the seed industry is already involved in: water use footprint, what's more appropriate than drought tolerance, right, built into seed, more nitrogen fixation, these kinds of things. And I think the goal of the seed industry to connect to consumers has to be to connect to the things they've agreed are important things, and find some ways to summarize those that are meaningful and important, and have a horizon that the seed industry can work with. So I think there is that chance, but it would be really good for the seed business to think about 4 or 5 key goals, preferably well aligned with that kind of international agenda, that it can say, this is the space we operate in and this is what we're doing, and then speak to consumers about that. Because just talking about what you do isn't enough anymore.
Right. Well said. Well said. And I think that segues perfectly into my next question for you, which is, every industry needs leadership. The seed industry is certainly within that realm as well. We need to figure out how to generate leadership for people. And I'm curious, because you taught me a lot on this topic, I'm curious, how does your advice go? Or maybe it's even digging into a little bit, is there a core value that you hold that allows you to have a touchstone when you're thinking about leadership and how to take it forward?
Well, I think diversity is a core value, and when you want to talk about leadership, Dan Wright deserves a lot of credit for his work on focusing on diversity in the context of the Seed Trade Association. And I think that's an exciting path for people to see looking forward. And recently I was in a global meeting with a lot of people from quite large companies, and somebody turned to me in that meeting and said, well, you should speak on the diversity topic because you do it well. And my immediate reaction was, well, not particularly. And then I thought about it a bit more, and I thought, well, maybe that is really the magic fairy dust in my mix, is that I really like people. I like all sorts of different people. And it's been a pleasure to attract them around my circle and to take each thing they say seriously and to think about ways in which somebody younger and somebody older will give me different kinds of advice, and to think about the role for women in agriculture, but to think about the role for people from every religion in agriculture. And the fact is, globally, we're all in that together, and the microcosm in Canada is but one part of that footprint. So the more I see the world, the more empowering and exciting that is. And if I get credit for leadership, it's only because I hope I listen really well and take from all of that input something that provides a path forward. So it's been just a gift that so many people like you, Shawn, have given good advice and have been willing to share ideas and rise up to the opportunity to share them.
You have a lot of people around the globe, I would suggest, that look up to you as being a, I'll say mentor. Looking at you now, you look too young to be referred to as a mentor still, but we'll say mentor. And I think that that's a powerful spot to be in. On Thursday, you're going to be recognized, inducted into the Ag Hall of Fame. I know you don't like to put the spotlight on you. I know that's not who you always are, but I'm curious, what's your take? This is a big deal. There's one woman in the Ag Hall of Fame, and now this year we're inducting 3.
Well, I think there are 5, but there are it's 5 women now,
okay,
as I understand it, and there are 210 men. Yep. So that's a pretty big gap. So 3, to your point, is a huge leap forward. And I understand that I may be the youngest person inducted. So it's it is kind of mind-numbing, actually. Just when I got the call, I had no idea that this nomination was underway, and the number of people who were involved in it is deeply touching. And I hadn't thought of mentorship as one of the reasons why I might be inducted, but after I learned I was being inducted, it began to come out about the things people had said about why I should be, and mentorship was one of them, and I think that's something to be very, very proud of. And it's never a burden. It's fun, and perhaps because I see that as a gift of spending time with people who are diverse and young and bright, and who teach me things just as hopefully I teach them things. And they give me incredible latitude to be candid, right? So one of the great things is, even if we have formal relationships with people within my operations or people in extended circles, many people have given me the chance to say what I really think, or to say, this situation could be not great for you, so I would suggest you do this instead, and even just how to present yourself and to command respect in a sector that gives it willingly, but does expect you to earn it. And I think there are techniques that experience gives you, and I had the benefit of a tremendous mentor in my mother, Joan. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge part of my success. So if I can replicate that in some small way, I'm just living up to her shoes.
Well, just one other spot where we completely see eye to eye, because she was pretty spectacular at that, and I would call her my mentor as well. So just to be really clear, she would be and is, and I think you already know this, unbelievably proud of your accomplishments, not the least of which is being inducted into the Canadian Ag Hall of Fame on Thursday.
Thank you.
Robynne, thanks very much for your time. Always a pleasure. Thanks for the respect, for the love. I really appreciate it a lot.
Back at you.